Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to film a video, which I don't know why I haven't filmed this yet, but I wanted to talk about things that I wish someone would have told me before starting homeschool and some things that I kind of want to ease your mind with. If you are either on the fence about homeschooling, it feels like you've been called to homeschool and you just have questions and you feel a bit overwhelmed. And I'm doing this too because one of my friends is wanting to homeschool now, and she asked me questions and I realized it's the same questions that everybody asks me about homeschool. It's the same fears, it's the same things that they want to know about. And honestly, I kind of felt those things as well when I first decided to homeschool. These are things that I'm leaving voice memos for when you guys are giving me sending me DMs about questions. Like, this is what I'm always saying. So I figured let's put this in a video so it's here for everyone. If you guys are in that spot and you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you have so many questions, I hope this gives you a little bit of peace and some answers and kind of sets your mind a little bit more at ease. The number one thing is don't let fear and overwhelm stop you. Now, there are so many questions that you have when you're deciding to homeschool. There's so many things that just bog your mind down. And I was 100% there. We decided to pull our girls out. They were in preschool for half a year and then TK for half a year. So a total of like 1 year, a little less than a year of actual school. This was during COVID and then they mandated masks for girls. So that's why we pulled them out. But I'll get into that a little bit later on why your decision to homeschool sometimes changes. Like as you start to homeschool for more and more years, your why tends to change. Like a lot of people have a reason why they first start homeschooling, but then there's something else that tends to pull you along and wants you to keep going. That's maybe not the reason you started with. I think a main thing for a lot of people that overwhelms them is the amount of curriculum, the amount of resources out there. What do I use for my math? What do I use for reading? Can I teach my child to read? Am I going to be a part of a charter? Is there going to be a co-op? There's so many things to decide. How will this work for our family? What is this going to look like day to day? I think it's a positive thing that we have so many resources now. Like that's amazing because homeschool is so popular now. But don't let that overwhelm you because you just have to jump in. You just have to take that leap and then you can figure it out as you go. So I think my hardest part about homeschooling was that early stage of deciding, am I gonna do this? And just like complete overwhelm. But once I committed to doing it, it just all fell into place. Also know that whatever you do decide on doing as far as curriculum, as far as a charter, whatever it is, know that that will most likely change over the years. You are probably going to change your curriculum almost every single year. You're gonna change the activities you're in. Things will change and that's okay. And that is honestly the beauty of homeschool. When you are in a school, you are bound to whatever that school decides for curriculum and schedule and everything. When you're homeschooling, you have the freedom and flexibility to change things up to make them more catered to your children and what works best for your family. Okay, my second thing is deciding if you want to be with a charter school. This is a common question I get asked. Sorry if you hear the kids, they're playing store upstairs. So we are with a charter school. We did not do in our first year of homeschool because I just wanted to just start, and that really seemed like too many decisions to make, and that's fine. You don't have to be with one right away. You can just kind of ease your way into homeschooling, and then as you get to know more people who homeschool and just the ins and outs of it, you can say, okay, maybe this is a good option for our family. Let me give you a couple pros and cons of charter school. So the main pro for most people is funding. You're getting funding from the state twice a year, at least for our charter. And you can use those funds for curriculum, for art supplies that you're using, for things that you are using towards your child's education. Different activities, field trips, there's a lot of different like hands-on types of manipulatives, games, puzzles, all of those supplies you can use your charter funds on. So you go through like a portal to use your funds for different things. They have to be approved. Things are either consumable or non-consumable. Consumable items are things that you're using up. Markers, dry erase markers, pencils, crayons, art supplies, workbooks that you're writing in, things that you can't return. Those are all consumable. You don't need to return any of those things, obviously, because you're using them up. Non-consumable items are things like puzzles, board games, manipulatives, dry erase boards, Chromebooks, iPads and things. Those you all have to return at the end of your time with the charter school. So as long as you're with the school, you can keep them. But when you are done, then you do have to give them back. Now, the thing that's hard about the first year, I ordered so many non-consumable items, and it becomes very hard to keep track of all of these little things in a house with multiple children. So now I don't buy many things that are non-consumable because it's just hard to keep track of everything. Books are also non-consumable, so I do use our funds for a lot of books. I try to put like a little sticker on the back so that I know these are not mine, these are charter. Another pro that I like is I'm not solely accountable. So you get a charter teacher, and they are there to guide and support you throughout this whole process. So you meet with them a few times a year. I have Zoom calls, and we turn in samples monthly to our charter teacher. So she then has all of our samples for each child documented for every subject and make sure they're aligned with all the state standards. I like having that peace of mind that it is all accounted for. If you don't use a charter school, you just have to do that on your own and have a different system of what you're doing with your schoolwork, where it's going, and every state is different. So you really just need to know your homeschool laws based on where you live. So for me, I like having that peace of mind knowing that it is all kind of wrapped up with that. Now, side note, but we have a lot of things going on right now in California with charter schools that they're trying to take away a lot of different things for them, which is definitely a bummer. So we will see how it pans out this year, but some things are up in the air. Now, cons, a lot of people do not like having to submit all these samples all the time. It is a lot of work, but for me, it's worth it, and it's worth it to get the money for different things. And again, just like going to all your meetings with your charter teacher, that can be a negative for a lot of people. It's a lot of different hoops you have to jump through. And then one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't like is the testing. So you do take a test 3 times a year, and then once you're in 3rd grade, you take another test at the end of the year. So personally, I don't mind the actual testing just because you can gauge where your child's at. However, the way they go about it and the actual test really is not a good indicator of where your child's at. So I have a problem personally with the actual testing that is being administered to these kids. It's like I've seen some of it and it just is not a good indication. It's definitely flawed. Number 3, oh my gosh, we're only on number 3. I could talk a long time about this, as you can see. Socialization, that is the big buzzword about homeschool. Will my child be socialized is the number one question, and also the number one like attack on people who are homeschooled. People love to say, oh, your kids are not socialized. So again, this is all personal experience, but for me, we've had the opposite experience with that. We've had extra social time where we've had to make adjustments to rein in the amount of time we are with friends so that we can do more school. So over the past few years, we have developed a really tight-knit group of families, and we've made our own co-op. And through that, our kids have just made really great friends. And you will see through homeschool, you have a lot more spare time. And so we have a lot more time to hang out with our friends and do fun things and go to the splash pad and go to museums and go on field trips and whatever it is. We make Bible studies up with different groups. So you have extra time. But what that can hurt sometimes is it creates a lack of flow and accountability in your school day. So what I was finding last year is we did so many fun co-op activities that if we did anything in the morning, then our day was thrown off and it was too hard to get to our main subjects that our day was just kind of done. So this year we've really tailored back what we do with our co-op, and we still see our friends, but it's more like scheduled play dates versus weekly things, because I needed, personally for our family, we need to be at home and get our school done, our subjects done, and then we can hang out with people after noon or after 1 o'clock. So that is just what's worked best for us. However, I'm so grateful for these past few years that the kids have been able to develop these strong friendships through co-op events. So I think it just depends on your children, what they need, what you need as a mom. But I will say I used to be more introverted, and homeschooling has made me way more extroverted because you have to in order to foster friendships for your children. If you don't, you could just be at home all day long and never have any activities for them. You need to really go out of your way to make friends with people, go on Facebook groups, find a co-op group that you can join. If there isn't one, make one. Like literally start one. Me and some of my friends are the ones who started a co-op because we wanted a certain life for our kids if we homeschooled. If we were gonna homeschool our kids, we wanted to have all these extra things, all these things that we got in school, we wanted to give them in their homeschool experience. Okay, number 4, school takes way less time. I wish somebody told me that. I had no idea that you could really get all of your schoolwork done in a short amount of time. And this changes with grade level. When we first started, the girls were TK going into kindergarten. So the amount of time we have to spend is so short. And now Owen's kindergarten. So the amount of time it takes to go through your core subjects is really not that long. And then you're given so much extra time in your day to let your child just play and explore and do things they want to do and have all these extra activities or whatever it is you want for your child. I know every day's homeschool looks so different. I would ask yourself, what do you want your days to look like? Do you want your kids to have a really slow paced day, to just be free to explore things on their own? Do you want them to be in more activities? My sister-in-law and brother, they homeschool their kids, and one of their main reasons was their son wanted to play more golf, and he just couldn't in the afternoons. There wasn't enough time. So he then can finish his schoolwork in however many hours it takes him, and then he is free to golf as long as he wants. So that was my next point, which kind of fits into this, which is, what is your why for homeschool? Why do you want to homeschool? For me, it was just because of restrictions that were put on our kids at the time in school. So we pulled them because it was causing a lot of social anxiety for them. And so just to feel more safe and at peace and relaxed, that's why we brought them home. However, you'll find that as you continue to homeschool, your why will change, and be okay with that, and also reassess. So that was my why we started. But now there's something else that pushes us to keep homeschooling, and that is a slowed pace at home. The kids can sleep in, and there's no rush for getting out the door. We can make a nice breakfast. We can go at our own pace to do school, and it's at our own speed, which is just nice. And you'll see with your kids, like, what their personalities are. Our girls, when they are rushed, they get really nervous and anxious and stressed out. And so slowing down really helped them to just kind of feel more at peace at home. So that was really big for us, but it might be different. Like for my brother and sister-in-law, like for them, that wasn't the reason they homeschooled. It's more for the freedom of time. So whatever your why is, I would maybe even write that down so you know, like, why are you doing this? A couple other reasons why we continue to homeschool is, one, you can customize your curriculum. So if you're not liking something's not working for you or your child, you can change your curriculum and try a different way. Every child learns at a different speed and in a different way. We all have different learning styles. So some curriculums just aren't going to work well for some of your kids. For the girls, we used All About Reading for many, many years for them, and they never had a problem with it. And it worked really well. But then for Owen, it did not work, and I had to switch it up. Another thing I wrote, time to pursue their own interests. So we are able to do music during the day for the kids. They can practice during the day. Soccer, they can practice outside. Whatever your child's interest is, they have extra time to pursue this. Just being free to be creative, to paint, to draw, whatever it is. Also, I wrote down prolong childhood. I think this is a really big one now. I think and also I just feel like I have to say this too. If you have to send your child to school, that is totally fine. Like, nobody's judging you. I went to public school my entire life, and there's just some things that work better for some people and some things don't. Also, some people feel called to homeschool and some people don't, and that is okay. It's not going to be a one size fits all. every family is so different. Everybody's schools are so different. So it really is such a personal thing. But what I have seen is just some kids now, when they go to school, they kind of get this outer shell and they kind of have to toughen up quick. And so when our kids are with children who are in actual school, there's a stark difference. Our kids just have like a little bit more of they're a little bit more naive and a little bit just, they act a little younger in a sense right now. Like they're not exposed to as much, and you can see it. They're just a little bit more carefree, I would say, and don't have a lot more on their shoulders because they have a lot more freedom during their days. There's not as much of like a time constraint and a schedule that they're held to. And so that I've noticed is a really big benefit for us, that they can just be kids and just enjoy their time. And yes, of course, we're getting into our school and we're doing all the things we need to, but just that extra time, I think is I'm going to look back and be grateful that they had that. Number 6, I would say personally for me, I have to hold myself accountable for things, because what I found last year is when they are playing, you want them to be playing and being creative and all these things. But also as we're getting older, we have to get to our subjects every day. So I just now this year especially have to hold myself more accountable for these are the things we need to get to. Once we get to them, you can go do what you want to do, but we do have to get to our school. What I would say for moms is you do need to figure out like what you want to fit into your day. So have your rhythm, have your subjects that you want to get to, but thinking outside of school, like, are you wanting to work out? Because that is something you definitely have to schedule. You either have to work out, for me, I have to work out either really early before the kids are ready to start school, or after we're done with everything, which is typically what I've been doing these days, is we do it later. There's a lot of things that I want to do as a mom other than school. Like I want to be doing laundry, cleaning the house. Some of that has to wait. And you just have to figure out over time, you'll see what works best for your family. For me, it's cleaning the house at night. So I wake up to a clean house so we can start our day off early. And then in the afternoon, we do a reset. We do our laundry, we do our cleaning, and it's just a way to keep everything running in the house. Also, our kids have to help out and contribute to chores. I always tell them, I cannot do this all by myself. When your kids are in school, the mom can clean up during the day and it's not getting messy all day long. When your kids are home all day long, there are messes being made all the time. And so they know that they are responsible for keeping their room clean, helping empty the dishwasher, taking in the trash cans. Like our kids have a lot of chores because they know that if we are home all day, we all have to do this. We're all a team. Another thing about holding ourselves accountable is making sure we get our school done in the mornings. And then if we want to schedule anything with friends, it is after school. And a lot of my friends are on the same page at this point because we all know that if we schedule anything at 10 o'clock, we're not going to get to school later. So anything we schedule now is past 12 o'clock, and that works much better for us. My last tip is to not compare yourself to other homeschool moms. Now, this is a very hard one to do because there are so many people on Instagram who post these, great reels with beautiful music, and it's so peaceful, and you're like, that is what I want my homeschool days to look like. They most likely will not, at least not all the time, for the majority of the time. When our girls were younger, we would do a lot of creative artsy things. But as they're getting older, we're not doing that stuff as much. Like now we're doing more bulk curriculum stuff. We're having to get to more subjects, and we don't have as much of that just like carefree, whimsical time when they were little. Like when they were in kindergarten, I just loved it. We just did like tea time poetry all the time and crafting, which we still do sometimes. We still do crafts and all that. But there's other things we need to get to more. So things just change over the years, and that is okay. I understand that everybody's homeschool looks so different, and you just need to find something that works well for your family. And also the ages of your kids is going to change it dramatically. So with every year, your school is going to change and shift on how it works. Like when Owen was younger, it was really hard to keep him occupied while I would do stuff with school. So it changes a lot with year to year. I would also say that have confidence in yourself as a homeschool parent, because I think a lot of people say, well, I'm not a teacher, quote unquote, so how can I do this? My biggest piece of advice is that you know your child better than anyone else, and you want what's best for your child more than anyone else. So in my eyes, you are the most qualified to guide them on their path of education, because you want what's best for them, and you will do whatever it takes for them to get that. So just have confidence in yourself as a mom, and that's kind of my tip for moms in general, regardless if you're homeschooling or not. You also are going to have to sacrifice a lot if you are gonna homeschool financially. That's a big one. I have cut down significantly on what I do on YouTube and Instagram. I'm sure you all have noticed that. I just cannot put up the amount of content that I used to do. And I know there's a lot of families who both parents have to work. And I'm not completely not working. I'm still working part-time, I would say. But because I like to have a little bit of income to help our family out, for sure. But my job is very flexible in that sense. You just have to sacrifice a lot if you do want to homeschool. So there's a lot of families out there who used to work, the mom used to work, but she decided she wanted to homeschool and chose not to work anymore. And you just have to cut different things out of your life that you maybe used to pay for in the past. Besides financial sacrifices, understand that you will give up a lot of personal freedoms. My kids come with me to appointments now, and luckily I have my mother-in-law who lives close, so sometimes she'll come over to watch the kids so I can run out to an appointment or whatever it is. But a lot of the times they just come with me. They run errands with me. They're coming with me to all these things. I love to have alone time. And the lack of alone time is maybe one of the things that I didn't quite realize I would be completely getting rid of when I started homeschooling. Also be prepared to get a lot of criticism from strangers, from family members, from friends. If you are out in public with your kids during school hours, you will 100% get people who are like, why aren't you in school? We get that every single day when we're out somewhere. Like Owen was getting his haircut yesterday, and they're like, why aren't you in school? And he's like, oh, I homeschool. So your kids learn to be confident in what they're doing, because they're going to be hearing that often from strangers at checkout lines. And you have to be confident as a mom, because if you're not, every time you hear something like that, you're going to be like, oh, my kids need to be in school. I think it's a little bit of spiritual warfare. You know, you are taking the path that not everyone is taking. It is not the socially popular path. And so when you are living in something that you feel called to do, that you're praying about, don't be shocked if you are getting pushback from that and being challenged for that. Pray for God to guide you for all of your homeschool days and equip you for this. So I don't think I could have done this without having faith. Because days can be very long and very hard sometimes. Sure, sometimes you have really great homeschool days and you're like, wow, I feel so fortunate that we get to be able to do this. But there are some days that are extremely hard, and you need to rely on your faith to get you through those hard times, because you're gonna have so many times when you're questioning what you're doing. Is this the best decision for our family? And you need that support and that rock to get you through those hard times, and remind yourself that, okay, yes, I feel very called to do this, and that this is the best choice for our family, and that I can personally do this. So those are all of my things I wanted to touch on. I hope this helped you guys out. If you are in that kind of unknown phase, you guys homeschool and have had people give you some really good advice, let me know in the comments. Let everybody know just some things that have kind of given you some peace over the years. I'd love to see that. And that's gonna be it for today's video. I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.